Hi, this is my video about my favorite books so far that I've read in my lifetime. So when I was younger, I definitely read a lot more, but ever since I got a phone, I got addicted to screens like basically everyone else. And so I stopped reading. And then in like 2022, 2023, when dark academia was really big, the whole aesthetic really influenced me to get back into reading again. But ever since I stopped being into dark academia, I stopped reading. So now I'm gonna start reading again because I don't want to be addicted to my screen. And also because I like to share some of my thoughts about books. And yeah, so I'm gonna try to do this in the order I read them, but I don't have physical copies of all of my favorites. So I honestly don't remember which I read first, but The Secret History, like, of course, it's the dark academia, like the book about dark academia. And I I remember buying this from the thrift store, and like I did not even know that it was about dark academia. I think I just saw it on TikTok a lot, so I got it. And it is really well written, but I don't really remember what it's about. I know there's like a murder, but that's like the same thing with all the books. I literally do not remember the plots afterwards. But the value of reading isn't in whether or not you can remember something anyways. And I remember I really like this, so yeah. And this is like the first time I used a sticky tab system for my books. Like, as you can see, every color corresponds to an emotion, such as like, I think purple was interesting or like interested in this section, and then blue was sad, green maybe disgust, orange anger, pink like romancy kind of thing. So yeah. I really want to reread this, honestly. Okay, the second book, which is also from the same thrift store. I got like a lot of books really cheap at this one thrift store. I think this was like maybe less than $1 or maybe like $1 or $2. And The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea by Yukio Mishima. This book was like really weird and visceral, but I really liked it. I don't think everyone would like it just because it's like really vulgar, but Yukio Mishima is one of my favorite authors, so, and this is the first thing I read of his works. It's like really different from my worldview. I cannot comprehend that anyone would think like the characters in this story, but it's just so interesting to see people literally believe something so strongly that is so different from my own beliefs. And I don't really remember the whole thing, but I really, really like this book. I think this is like one of the only books I've ever rated 5 stars. So take that as you will. The next book is The Catcher in the Rye. So I did not read this for school, but some of my friends did. And they really did not like it, but I love this book. It was so sad to me. Like, I could see why people would not like, what is his name? The Holden Caulfield guy? Is that his name? I don't remember. But I could see why people would not like him. But I just thought he was so tragic. And like his teenage angst, yeah, but he's like just has gone through so much, and like it's understandable that because of his immature worldview that he would be like this. And it just feels like he's been crying for help, but the people around him just don't see it that way. They just view him as an annoying and immature teenager, even though he needs help. So, yeah. I think I cried after reading this, and it's not really that I related to him. Maybe it was like partly because I related him, but I didn't really like him. It was more like I empathize with him. So I don't remember my complete thoughts anymore, but yeah, I really like this book. The next book is The Count of Monte Cristo. It's really long, and it took me so long to get through this, but I'm really proud of myself for reading this gigantic novel because I read this when I was in the middle of a reading slump. And I also tabbed it, but like only the ends because I didn't really have sticky tabs before this. But yeah, I don't remember if I used color coding for this one. I don't really think so, but I might have. And it's like a really cool story. It's an epic journey of revenge. And yeah, it was like really, like I thought it was kind of hard to understand at some points because I forgot who the characters were. But like after I remembered, it all tied together. And I liked it, but I didn't think that it was as satisfying as I would have imagined it to be, which I think is part of the theme. Like, it is kind of satisfying that he gets revenge, but it's not as satisfying as you would imagine. Like, I thought it would be relief or like, yes, he got revenge, but it's like, okay, they like got what they deserved, but like I don't really feel anything. So it's really, I really liked it. It's just, it taught me that revenge is not something that I'd really want to pursue if someone wronged me, even if they wronged me to the degree that they did to the main character. Okay, before I say my most recent favorite read, I'm just gonna talk about some of my other favorite reads, but I don't have a physical copy of them, so I'll just like put the image somewhere. Okay, so another one of my favorites was The Long Walk by Stephen King, and I actually finished this in one sitting. I don't even know, like this is the only Stephen King novel I've ever read, but it was like so engrossing. I could not put it down. And I think like, I don't know, maybe it was the setting or the plot kind of, which is basically these teenage boys who are forced to walk until they die, until one of them survives. But like there's some LGBTQ connotations. I think that was like part of the reason why I liked it so much. But I don't know, it was just it was not really about that. It was more of the how do I say it? The situation. It's so depressing, but you cannot do anything but keep moving on. You see all your friends dying, but you have to keep walking. So, I don't know. It's like the endurance of it. People being able to endure through pain. I don't really know why I like this book so much, but I really liked it. Okay, the other one was I Who Have Never Known Men. It was really interesting because you could interpret this multiple ways. There's the interpretation that the main character has never known men, as in the male species, or like the male gender. And it's like really interesting to think about humans differently because we're all usually in like society, in most societies, we're socialized in a certain way that some things like basic human functions are shameful, in just the setting being so different, and which necessitated them having really different societal beliefs within their small community. It was really interesting. And then the second interpretation is you could see it as they had never known men as in mankind or humankind. So they just were so detached from what we traditionally think of as human society, what it means to be a human fundamentally. And I don't know if I want to spoil it because I don't remember if this was a spoiler, but just it was so interesting to read about how different society is or lack thereof. And I didn't really think about this kind of concept while I was reading it, but afterwards, just so much of our beliefs and values are programmed into us by society, basically. So it's cool to see that it's not inherent to like just being a human, because human can mean many things. Like our values, what we think that are so integral and intrinsically tied to being a human doesn't necessarily have to be. It was not that satisfying in terms of plot though. I wish I knew what the whole situation was, but it was not really important to the philosophy, so I get it. The last one is a recent read, and it's Siddhartha by Herman Hesse. I don't really know how to say his last name, Hesse or Hesse. But yeah, I really like his writing, and I also read Damien for like previously, and that was also, I really love that. But this style of writing, it feels so concise almost. Like it doesn't really use complicated language, but the ideas it conveys are so profound, or it just gives off the air of this is so spiritually deep. And yeah, I really like the message of this book, and I think everyone should read it if you're into spirituality. And it didn't do anything for my personal spiritual journey, really, I don't think. But just seeing that everyone has to go on their own journey, and you can't really learn to be enlightened even if you learn from Buddha himself. It's just your own path. Also, the ways it describes the unity of the world is really interesting, because it's something that I can't really reconcile, as I don't know all these philosophical or metaphysical answers of the universe. But it gives one answer to it, and I think it's a interesting answer to ponder. So, pretty good book. So those are all my favorite books so far that I've read in my entire life. I probably forgot some, but I hope this is not the like final favorite books I ever have, because I want to read more books instead of doom scrolling all the time. So I will also hold myself accountable to that by posting about the books I read. And some of the books on my to be read list are, let me see. So I want to read more of Yukio Mishima's books, because I did not read his best work, which is Spring Snow. I think that's like the best thing that he's ever written. And also Dostoevsky. I've not read a single one of his books, but I really want to, because I heard that it really makes you think about how you, like, his books are not really driven by plot, but instead by the ideas within it. And some other ones that I've seen recommended on TikTok, such as from Beware of Pity, or Melissa, who recommended My Brilliant Friend in the Door, and some other ones. I'm reading The Door by Magda Zavo right now, And I don't know, it might not be my kind of book because it's kind of boring right now, but I will finish it and see if it changes my opinion. And a lot of the times, my ratings of books are not really fair because it is greatly influenced by my mood or my cognitive status at that time, if I can even focus on reading. Or so I don't want to give really definite reviews or ratings of any book, but I'll rate them based on the emotional impact or the philosophical ideas it presents to me. So, yeah, those are my criteria, and I will be back in the future, hopefully. I will commit myself to it, yes. Okay, bye!